Chapter 17 of Tractor Ballet Gone Bad. What'd you have for lunch down in there? Eddie asked, gesturing down towards the tractor. Huh? What? Todd and I responded. That there looks like blood. Ain't no fluids that color there in that little tractor. Oh, Todd laughed. Scob blubby de moob. I bloodied my nose, I clarified for Eddie's benefit. You bloodied your nose, Eddie exclaimed as his head owled back towards me. Looks like you slaughtered a critter. Your spleen must be working overtime. How in the hell did you manage to do that? I slipped on the ice and bumped my face on the front wheel. I was well aware I was paying Eddie by the hour and was already slightly aggravated with the time we'd wasted explaining how we'd skittled our way down there. I was really hoping we'd get a move on and start extracting the tractor. He smashed his face so bad he was knocked out cold. He was lying there with the blood spread across the ice, scared the living shit out of me. I thought he was dead for sure, Todd laughed. Is that right, Eddie owled up at me again. You feeling okay? You're not lightheaded, are you? No, I replied in some confusion. Dizzy at all? No. Woozy? No. Weak? Discombobulated like or anything to that effect? No, I feel fine, I answered with a mixture of confusion and aggravation. Have you eaten since? So yeah, Diane set us out lunch. What'd you have? What the hell's he on about, I was thinking. Beef barley soup, Todd piped up. Sandwiches, salmon, tuna, and roast beef. A mountain of. Good, beef's good, Eddie said. Lots of iron in beef. You need iron to make blood. You sure you ain't feeling lightheaded or nothing like? No, I'm fine. Good, that's crucial. You must have a hell of a spleen. How in the devil you ever get out of there, Eddie asked as Todd and I were still blinking at each other in confusion. Maybe you'd better ask Ernie about the devil, Todd replied. It was Eddie's turn to blink in confusion, but he shrugged it off. Oh well, he said cheerfully, a tale for another time. Let's get out of here. Is it just me or this place kind of creepy? What do you think's so crucial about your spleen? Todd whispered back at the fence. I could only shrug in response. All right, Eddie announced back at the fence. Let's get back up to the driving shed. Take your time. I need to study the lay of the land. You sure you ain't weak, wobbly, or woozy or anything? Because that's crucial. I'm fine, I answered, still more than a little perplexed. As Eddie wandered up the fence studying the field, Todd leaned in towards me. What do you figure all this business about your weak and wobbly spleen being so crucial is all about? I don't know, Todd. Beginning to wonder if he's quite right in the egg. Could be a valid concern, Todd replied. Todd and I drifted along behind Eddie on the way back up. He sure seems to be putting some serious consideration into the lay of the land, Todd commented. What's that all about? I don't know. By all accounts, he's supposed to know his business. Let's hope his egg ain't gone soft, Todd said, coiling the rope over his arm. Arriving back at the woodshed, Ernie and the old man emerged from the truck as Ernie handed Eddie a beer, who nodded in gratitude and swallowed it half back in one pull. Ernie, of course, couldn't offer one to Todd and I, as that would have been politically correct under the circumstances. The old man was still staring bloody murder at me. Thanks, Ernie, Eddie said with a tilt of his bottle. Volumes were spoken between them with this gesture. Here's the thing, Eddie said, turning to me. When I first saw your little tractor down there, I thought I should have got the dozer. The dozer floated behind the dump truck after returning the hoe? I'll be in the poorhouse. But after seeing the skittling you done, I think we can do it with the hoe. Eddie tossed back the rest of his beer, and Ernie handed him another as we all stood in rapt attention as to what Eddie had to say. Thanks again, Ernie, Eddie saluted with his bottle. See, here's the thing, Eddie said with his focus on me. When you come up out of there on the tractor. What? I gasped. Listen to what the man says, the old man growled. I'm listening, I said without my eyes leaving Eddie. I just don't get why I'm on the tractor. You rode the damn thing in, you can bloody well ride it back out, you damn simpleton, the old man raged. After holding Eddie's eyes for a moment, I turned towards the old man. I said, I'm listening to what the man says, Dad. But I figure this business is between Mr. Calver and me, and I suggest you stay the fuck out of it. Ernie blinked in astonishment as Todd again tried to fade back into the shadows. Turning back to Eddie, I said, "Go ahead, Mr. Calver. I'm listening. Why am I riding that tractor up out of there?" "Because I figure when it comes up over the top, it'll go onto its belly and roll on its side." "Of course it will," Eddie said with a glint in his eyes. "You've got balls and brains, and you're going to need them both. Here's the thing," he continued, dangling his arm at the elbow in mimicry of the backhoe. "When her front tires come up over the edge, I'll snatch you quick like. Her rear tires will come up against the bank. She'll come straight up over the top, and I'll pull you forward and set you down gently as a baby." I wondered if Todd still wanted to drive. "Don't panic and jump off," Eddie said. "You got to hang on real tight, real tight. Crucial, that is. Crucial for you to be hanging on real tight." "Huh, I'll be hanging on all right," I responded. "It'll take the four of you to pry me off." Good, Eddie said. "Crucial you be understanding the need to be hanging on tight." "Well, yeah, but why am I sitting on it?" "Well, here's the thing," Eddie said with a grin and a merry glint in his eyes. "When I first saw the predicament your little gal's in down there, I was thinking I should have brought the dozer if the hoe is not big enough. When I start pulling her across the field, she's want to go pendulum about on the end of that chain. You know what I mean by penduluming? Was that my spleen that just shuddered?" "Yeah, I know what you mean by a pendulum. It's going to swing back and forth the end of that chain." "Right. You know what happens if she crosses the chain?" "Oh, yeah, that was my spleen, all right." "Yeah, she goes rolling over." "Good. Crucial you understand that. Here's how we going to do it. I'll punch and scratch a path down as far as I can get. Ernie, if you're game, I'll dig a hole for your truck. It's our anchor. I'll swing the hoe across. You, young fella," he said, gesturing to Todd, "are going to do the chain work. With each pull, you hook to the anchor. I'll swing the arm back out, and you hook back onto the bucket, and off we go again. Crucial you don't fumble them chains. Crucial it is. You fuck up your buddy, and that tractor's back in that ravine." "You trust his chain work?" Eddie asked of me. "Absolutely." Good, because your life could well depend upon it. But here's the thing, lad. It'll all come down to your skittling that tractor. If you can't keep her from crossing that chain, she'll roll all right. She'll go rolling, and the truck and the hoe, the whole shooting match can end up in a tangle fuck down in there on top of you. My spleen, my liver, and my appendix all went into spasms. "Have you got it in you, lad?" Eddie asked, still staring intently at me. Well, I guess I have to, or there won't be much left of the tractor." "That's right," Eddie replied. "The thing is?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, if it all goes horribly wrong, I can probably afford to pay for Ernie's truck, but I sure can't afford to pay for your backhoe." "Hoy, hoy, hoy," Eddie laughed. "We're going to do this then?" "Seems like you're taking a pretty big gamble on my skittling, as you call it, Mr. Calver." "I'm willing if you are, lad. It's your call. Comes down to your nerve and your skittling. It's your ass out in the wind." Todd couldn't resist. "Figuratively and literally, Scott." "Seems to me, Mr. Calver," I continued, "you're putting your own ass pretty far out into the wind. I cannot afford to pay for your backhoe. I can come back tomorrow with the dozer." "Well, if you do, it'll be pull out of what's left your hoe and the truck out of there then." "Hoy, hoy, hoy," he barked with laughter. Good. We're going to do this. I like a challenge." I wondered if my innards hadn't gone gelatinous from so much quivering. Eddie turned to Todd. "Show me your chain work before we set out. It's crucial, the chain work is. Crucial. Can't have any fuck-ups there." As Todd demonstrated his chain work on the tailgate for Eddie, I pulled a couple of rolls of electrical tape off the bench and handed one to Todd. Some insurance," he said as he wrapped a couple of hooks. "Hoy. Good," Ernie barked as he turned to me. "Eddie, you know how to chain up that front axle so she's centered. Crucial, that is. Crucial she lines up dead nut straight." "No worries," I replied. "Around one side of the axle, under and across, around the other side, center the chain. In this case, I'll go as far as to count the lengths." "Hoy," Eddie barked in reply. "You've done this before, have you?" "Well, sure, I've pulled all kinds of stuff." "Humph," the old man growled. "Seems to be you've been pulled out of your own damn stupidity more times than you ever pulled anything of any damn use." The four of us stood looking at the old man as a pregnant silence descended. "I think you'd better go sit in the truck," I said flatly. The old man and I stared at each other. He could have cut the tension with a knife. "Go on," I said. "I ain't got time for your shit." "Humph!" he barked and turned to the truck. "Yeesh, Scott," Todd explained. "Pushing it, aren't you?" "Fuck him," I growled. My way of thinking he's the only lot in the one of us who ain't got his ass out in the wind to some extent or another. "Hoy, hoy," Eddie laughed. "You got balls." "Brass ones," Ernie laughed, handing Todd and I a beer. "More balls than brains," Todd laughed, tilting his pint back. "Okay. Where were we then?" Eddie asked. "Oh, yeah. When I pluck you up out of there, get the old girl started and warm her up good." Mr. Calver, I'm more than a little dubious of whether it'll start or not." "What? You didn't leave the fuel on, did you?" "No," I answered. "Todd noticed that when we first got settled, so to speak, down in there. I climbed up the hood and shut it off." "What's the problem then?" Eddie asked, sounding just a little aggravated. "Well, the odds of it starting are about 50-50 when it's cold like this, and that's here in the shed. But standing up straight up in the air like that or down there, I don't know." As Eddie stared with me, an expression that could be read as, "Perhaps you're a simpleton if you can't manage to get that tractor started," Eddie stepped in. "Summer or winter, the old girl's right reluctant about starting up, Eddie. I've yet to see anybody but Scotty that can even get her coaxed into life, including myself." "Works real good to eliminate unauthorized usage," Todd quipped. "Is that right?" Eddie said, turning back to me. "Yeah," I replied. Six and a half cranks at best. If the cough's the wrong way at 5.5, the Bendix kicks out and it's all over." "Oh, that's not much to work with, son," Eddie said. I just shrugged in reply, as further comment seemed redundant. After pondering the implications of this development, Eddie said, "Gonna complicate your task something fierce if you ain't got the engine and gears to work with. Think you can manage it with one brake or with the brakes alone?" "I only got one brake." "What?" Eddie blinked in astonishment. "Only the right brake works." "What? You expect me to believe you skittled that tractor all that way on just one brake? What do you take me for, a fool? There's no damn way in a million years anybody could have..." Eddie went off on a tirade reminiscent of Yosemite Sam. Todd tried and failed to intervene, but Eddie was still cursing and ranting as to the sheer impossibility of the concept. As Eddie paused for a breath and a slug of beer, Ernie once again stepped in. "It's only one brake, Eddie. Scotty's good enough to let me use that tractor whenever I asked. He has to start it for me, mind you. But I've operated it on several occasions, and I can tell you for a fact the right brake's the only one that's operational. The left is C-solid." "Is that right?" Eddie asked. "I didn't even know there's supposed to be a brake on the left until Ernie explained it to me. I always thought the pedal was just there to step up on." "He must have been born in the saddle," Eddie said, shaking his head in amazement. "Not quite, Mr. Calver," Todd laughed, "but I remember they used to pull him out of the cradle to start the old girl to bale the hay." Eddie was too dumbfounded to point out this was complete bullshit, as Todd was the same age as I would and would have been in the cradle himself at the time. "Damnedest thing I ever saw," Eddie declared as Ernie handed him another beer. It took Eddie a few minutes to put his thoughts in order. "Do you think he could work the dead motor against the one brake to keep her crossing over the chain when she takes the pendulum about?" "Fuck no," I replied. "I'd buy another tractor long before I'd consider that." "Hoy, hoy, hoy," Eddie laughed. "That's the right answer. If you'd have said something else, I'd have taken you for a reckless fool and gone got the dozer. What do you figure you're going to do if you can't get her to start?" "Well, leave it chained to your hoe, surrounded with hay bales with stakes pounded in, and you go get the dozer." "Hoy, hoy, hoy, right answer again." You only look stupid, Mr. Calver," Todd laughed. All right, Eddie declared, gleefully rubbing his hands together. "I like a challenge. This is going to be fun." "And you think I got a peculiar sense of what consists of fun," Todd muttered, Ernie shaking his head. My spleen managed one last feeble flop and retired into exhaustion.